Hey everyone, how is everyone doing on this Sunday, the fun day? May 14th, 2023, how is everyone doing? Is my sound different? Do I sound different? Do I look different? Except for my snow leopard shirt, you know? Well, obviously my goatee is different, right? See that? Huh? My wife is the opinion that she likes my goatee. Well, something for a change, right? Something for a change. Besides the fact that I went through another change this week. And what is that change, sir? Well, actually, I should not be, although my doctor didn't say that. Well, what happened, sir? Well, okay. All right. Without, keeping it, without keeping it too sort of mysterious, I had a laser surgery on my left eye. You know the Lasik? Lasik, is that how you say it? Lasik surgery. Yeah, this was long overdue. This was long freaking overdue. One of my engineers, he was working for me back in the days. When I say back in the days, when I moved my office to Manhattan from Long Island City / Astoria, right? And he told me that he needed to take a week off, and I said, all right, without too much personal details, too many personal details. So I think he had to do it in both eyes, and it was a little more intense than mine. But I did it on Friday, and mine was just like, oh my freaking God, okay. It was like I had to wait. The whole wait. I'm such an impatient person to begin with, right? And you are basically putting me on the big burner with other people, for 2 hours. And here at least I had my phone charger. I took the phone charger with me. It was on and off. I was talking to my wife, and she was there to make sure that I don't go nuts. Not that I was going nuts, but at some point in time, I like my patient was running out, and I said, "Hey, what's going on? I've been waiting here for 2 hours." You know, and so that was last Friday, and 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 the procedure was like 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes. They use that local anesthesia in your eye, and then just like they wait for like in 10 minutes, and for it to go into effect, and then after that they just they whatever the hell they want. They not that the whatever the hell they want, sir. Whatever the hell they have to do in order to correct the cornea, right? Is that what it is? Cornea. But in any case, so I did that, and I hope that I can see now further, because my vision was getting worse and worse. I have that freaking night and nearsightedness. It's also a lot of freaking money, and I'm not paying anything. I didn't pay like I paid zero amount. Well, guess what? I'm gonna get the bill in the mail, right? So I have to pay monthly because I sign up for a plan, and luckily because of my whatever credit score, right? Obviously in America everything is based on your credit, right? If you don't have any credit, you're doomed. Doomed, unfortunately. Well, if you don't have any credit, or if you have bad credit, obviously, right? If you had loans and you were like late on payments, whatever the hell it is. And if you think about it, we are kind of like in this like fucking what do you call, like, chain of like the whole credit bullshit, right? But then again, well, I mean, if you're trying to buy, if you're trying to, like, lease a car, right? What should they be looking at, right? Should they be looking at? Oh shit! Hold on a second. I guess I can talk to him later. My cousin is calling me from Karachi. I was talking to him earlier. I'll call him after my podcast, and so here we go. I just sent him a message. Uh, what the hell I was talking about? Jesus, I lost the chain of thought, the thread of my discussion. Okay, so uh, yeah, so this whole thing with Lasik, and I recommend it to every one of you, because like I said, that these computer goddamn screens, and now the iPhones, I think iPhones and the other smartphones, they probably is not as bad as like fucking computer screens back in the days. Remember, in our times, we didn't have these fucking iPhones or these, like, smartphones. We had these computers, and you're just on the computer, in the fucking darkness, like at night, right? You're just looking at the screen, and that actually just kills your, like, your eyesight, in a sense that, I basically developed basically nearsightedness, which is I could see near, but I couldn't see far. And so I did that, and I recommend it to all of the people. Not that I'm promoting Lasik, but if you can afford it, and you should do it, because its success rate is high, and that's why I did it. And all right, so without promoting Lasik, how is everyone doing? I was actually kind of bored yesterday, and then I was talking to my wife, and after work, not yesterday. Yesterday was not work, sir. Yesterday was Saturday, right? Saturday, yeah. So Saturday, I woke up, and then, oh yeah, so I had to go to the doctor to follow up in the morning. Jesus. So I drove into Manhattan, and then I did that, and after that, I actually picked up, my egg sandwich, my egg white sandwich from Manhattan, one of those Brooklyn bagel shops, right? Oh my God, you know what it is? The sandwiches, the bagels in New York City, the size of those bagels are like decent, as opposed to, like, if you go to like these bagel shops here in New Jersey or anywhere else in the whole fucking country, they give you these fucking tiny bagels, you know. So I was telling my wife that whenever I go outside the fucking, northeast area, which I'm going actually, I'm flying into West Palm Beach end of this month, for a long, long weekend, Memorial Day weekend. So whenever I go to these places, right, and if I go to a bagel shop, right, what's that famous bagel shop down in, like, fucking Florida, right? Einstein Brothers, right? Einstein Brothers bagels, and I mean, those are nice, but they're too fucking small. In any case, so where am I going with this? Am I turning my podcast really into like a really, like, my, like, story of my life? Huh? Maybe. But the point I'm trying to make is that I actually, I went to play golf again. Yesterday I was just home, like talking to my wife, and then I was trying to finish some work, and then, so you know what I did actually? I got like 6 hours of, like, professional development hours for my license. I have to do that because I need to renew my professional engineering license, PE license, in New Jersey. It had expired as of last what is it? Last, I think, May, you know. And in order to do that, I have to get like 24 hours of continuing education, which I did that yesterday. I knocked that out. That's good. I was actually right now, right before the podcast, I was actually working on another 3 hours. I need to get 24, I think. So with these 3 hours, I'm going to have, I think, 6 plus 3 I had from before, 9 plus 3, so I'm going to have 12. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, I can knock it out. I can knock it out and then get 24 and get my application in, renewal application to the State Board of New Jersey, professional engineers, right? And which is good because I mean, obviously it makes sense why you have to continue your education. Why they need you to do that, because you have to actually make sure that you are actually on a learning path, or not a learning path. The whole concept is that you are in touch with your educational whatever, your aptitude, and and you're getting enough hours besides just like running around like a chickenless head. What the hell am I saying? A headless chicken running around, especially when you're working for yourself like I am. So I did that, and I mean, I still have to do that, finish that. All right, so the what do you call the usual, my usual what do you call, not the report, whatever the fuck it is, right? I mean, my usual, like, day to day, my life of like this fucking weekend and what I did last week, and where I'm going next week. This week is kind of busy. Well, every week is fucking busy for us, for me, and my engineers, and obviously my wife. I love her, and she's helping me. And obviously we have differences, which is good, because this is how you get to know each other. And again, without like me getting back into this discussion of like relationships and human relationships, and especially if you are in a serious relationship, you have to compromise things, sir, and you have to be a little more logical and look at things, you know and then, yeah, attraction and love has to be there. That's the most important thing. I mean, that's one of the most important things. In any case, all right, so that's just like my my what do you call, my heliospheric, whatever, my one page, what do you call, synopsis of my life. What the hell did I say? What the hell did I just say? I had no freaking idea. Well, you get my point, right? We all are heliospheric. Is that even a word? Helio. Well, helio is related to sun, right? Sun, and we all are sons of the God of the gods of the sun. Jesus Christ, am I losing my fucking mind? All right, okay. So that was my like kind of like gist on like how I start my. Is that how I'm going to start my podcast? I mean, isn't that how you start your podcast anyway, sir? You always have something that you want to say on your podcast. Then you realize, oh shit, you know what? I wanted to talk about these other things. And then I got wrapped up in these, whatever, life, events, or, past events, are like, for example, I ordered like some Chinese food because I thought I had enough leftovers. The Dominican goat, chivo with rice, and I realized that after playing golf, yeah, I played golf again. I mean, what can I say? What can I do? I don't have any other fucking life. Besides playing golf, what can I do? I mean, I wanted to go like hiking, but then, but then I'm like, where am I going to go? And when the weather was not really like hot to go hiking. And for hiking, I would rather, for me, I would rather go somewhere away from, like my neighborhood, although my neighborhood here is like kind of secluded and, and quiet, right? Except for that goddamn factory. I mean, the scrap metal, right? Sims. And I would rather, to be honest with you, I would rather go like 2 hours away into some woods, maybe Poconos somewhere, go like upstate New York, where they have these hills. I wouldn't even call them fucking mountains because they're like 2,000 feet high, you know. But hey, it's a nice hike, if you want to do it. And and then you can see like down at Hudson River, right? Or in case of, for example, the Pennsylvania border, New Jersey Pennsylvania border, which is basically Delaware Water Gap, right? And that's where that's where all those other hills are, right? And you can see like Delaware River or those reservoirs or lakes or whatever the hell it is, right? I would rather just go there, stay there, like like a not a day trip, so like a overnight trip. I would rather go there, stay there, and then stay in my hotel room, and then next day, get your egg sandwiches or sandwich, bagels, whatever. I didn't get a bagel today, by the way, so I got an omelet, California omelet from a B18 cafe in my old neighborhood. Speaking of which, I kind of miss my old neighborhood. You know what it is? Because here, there's nothing around here, to be honest with you. And I think that's one reason why I like this area because it's so quiet. No goddamn, fire truck sirens. No like cops sirens. Those cop car sirens. None of those except for this goddamn Sims company, right? Um, but besides all that, I still have to actually somehow um, work on that window issue. I don't know. I mean, I have that curtain, with the sound absorber in the middle. It's a layer that absorb the sound, but I still feel. I mean, I still not feel. Sorry, I still hear sounds and the noise from the factory, and then I move into my living room, and this is where I sleep, right? Sometime, which is fine. I'm fine. Uh, my wife probably, I don't know. I mean, I again, it has been what almost like 7 months now, 6 months, 7 months actually, more than 7 months, and then I also had a conference call with my lawyer for another matter, and I asked her, and she was like, "Yeah, it fluctuates." I mean, listen, I did that whole like podcast I think last week about like immigration and all that bullshit. I don't want to repeat myself, but it is what it is, and we're trying other things, because this is the time, she needs me, I need her, not for the sake of need. Maybe it is also our need, and we want to be with each other. Why not? Why the hell not, right? And so wish us the best of luck, all of you out there. Pray for us. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my prayers. Well, I don't know. I don't really pray. I mean, I do say some things in my own head, I guess. Um, I don't know. Do I say anything in my own head that actually is considered a prayer? I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It's weird because I'm a very conflicted person. I'm a very conflicted person when it comes to stuff like that because, I try to be logical as much as I can because I feel that the prayers don't work. Uh, are there just like an assurance to ourselves? I think that's what it is. Assurance to our own self that, oh, we prayed, and then some like, extraterrestrial, not extraterrestrial, sir, some other force in the universe is going to help us and achieve what we want to achieve as long as it's something positive, right? Positive. It's not like you're gonna pray, hey, the deity, whatever, I'm gonna rob this bank tomorrow. I'm just praying that I'm going to be, successful. That's not how you pray. That's not the prayers. It has to be positive. I understand that part, right? So I'm very I've always been conflicted. When it comes to like prayers and all that. I mean, yeah, I used to go to the Ismailis. That's the sect I was born in, the Jamaat Khana and all that, right? But then maybe I was also kind of selfish, because I was doing that before I came to United States. And no, even after that, I was going there because I think it's also a sense of like connecting, connection and all that, right? But then I don't know, it's a topic that's actually very kind of personal for people, and I think also for me. Why and then what motivates people? I understand one of the motivations is, I think, self satisfaction. Is that the word I want to use? Self satisfaction, not self satisfaction, sorry. It's some sort of a calmness and whatever it brings you, your prayers and your meditation. If it does to you, well, it's good for you. But I mean, for me, I think, besides the point that I'm a conflicted person when it comes to like, you know, being part of some sort of a an organized sort of like a worship or of some sort of a deity and all that. Uh, that's all well and good. But I mean, it's I think it's more complicated than we think, and we make it um, simple, but it's actually more complicated than just saying, oh, you know what, I think I'm just going to like say a prayer, and then maybe that will make me somehow like satisfied as to like you know my own like inner being and inner self and peace and whatever, right? See, that's not how I operate. uh I don't know, maybe I had to look at this whole thing in a different manner, through a different lens. I have to look at the world now that I have Lasik surgery, so I don't need a goddamn lens, right? Is that what it is? Well, I didn't want to. I mean, the primary reason why I didn't want to uh, wear a lens. Well, am I about? No, no, no. It's the other way, sir. The primary reason why I wanted to do LASIK surgery was I didn't want to wear lenses or glasses, period. So that's it, you know. Well, you are jumping from one topic to the other, sir. Oh, I know I am. But just bear with me, okay? Bear with me. Bear with me because the thing is that I don't want to give the impression first to myself that I should just like accept the fact that we are the result of some sort of an event in uh, in the fabric of space and time. Yes, I get that we are the results of an event, you know, in the fabric of space and time, and that event is somehow gazillion years ago creation of this universe, right? Our universe as we see it. And who I was listening to last time, I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay, Michio Kaku was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they were talking about like how actually the universe came into being, where does it come from, and this and that, right? I'm not an expert on that, but I got the point that the universe actually is like a bubble. It starts as a bubble, like boiling. When you are actually boiling water, okay, I think in a layman's term, this could be a simple like explanation of how a universe comes into being. But then, what's the catalyst? We don't know what the catalyst is, but imagine when you are boiling water, and when water starts boiling, you can see the bubbles, right? The bubbles. And then the way the bubbles start is that they start like tiny, and then they become big, right? And then they explode, right? And then I think that was one uh, idea that I got how the universe actually came into being. And then the other one that he was talking about, Michio Kaku, he's an astrophysicist. He was talking about was how you actually blow a balloon, right? And then it expands and expands and expands and expands, right? Well, I guess that's after the burst comes, right? The burst comes into this vacuum. So the vacuum somehow is also a space. It's not like nothingness. So anything outside the vacuum is the nothingness, and nothingness has no meaning. What the fuck am I saying? All right. So what I'm trying to say is that the universe is like a balloon that started as a bubble, as if you're boiling water, and then the bubble burst. Well, some bubbles burst, and then our universe apparently didn't burst, right? It didn't fail, or then it just expanding. So basically, our bubble is like that. I mean, our universe is that bubble that started off as a bubble, and then it became a balloon, and then it still is there. It's expanding, right? So I think that's the whole idea of how the universe started. But then, what the hell am I going with this? Okay, so I guess where I'm going with this is that many of us, we question things, and I'm one of those. And many of us, we say, yeah, we know, who cares? I mean, the universe started with what the fuck it is, and then here we are now. Who cares what happened 13.8 billion years ago, right? I understand that part. But then, the question is, I think, if the bubble burst into this vacuum, out of this vacuum, actually created the vacuum, right? Uh, but what's, is there anything outside this vacuum? Where did that bubble come from? And all these questions, right? So those questions are still a mystery. I think that's where science fails. Or when I say science fails, means that science actually does not work there. You know, the principles of physics don't work in that sort of like outside of our space and time. And that's true because that whole like outside or even, like within our own mind, when we take on a psychedelic journey, right? I think that actually is absolutely uh, inex- inexplicable by science. You can't like explain that. What the fuck is it? I think that's what it is. And those realms where the universe actually burst into existence from those realms are, I think, beyond our explanation of you know reasoning and through our language. And I think that's where our language fails to explain those things. And I think in also similar fashion, like when we talk about some sort of like a universal, like a deity or something, a force, whatever you call it, in the same fashion, I think our language, our human language, cannot explain it. Somehow we cannot explain it because there's some other phenomenon. I think Terence McKenna talks about that. There's some other phenomenon behind the machinery of language that actually is what explains, or it may explain, that whole other realm. Means like outside our universe. What's outside our universe? And that whole thing could be explained by the law, but well, I shouldn't say laws, but could be explained by our behind our what do you call, like in the subtext of our language. I think in the subtext of our language, those could be explained. But then, is that the same thing as, like, for example, the subtext or like subconscious, which is not our like day-to-day conscious, so those could be linked. I mean, one of the most fascinating things actually, and this is actually not related to what I'm talking about, maybe it is, but sorry, my cousin was calling me again. I don't know why is he calling me, but I'm gonna call him after 25 minutes, right? My podcast. And so the whole idea that we can explain everything through science and physics, we can absolutely, we can within the realms of space and time. But then there are gazillion questions, and one of the basic question we always ask is, where the hell and what the hell is it? Where are we going? I mean, people say that they have answers to all these questions, but I don't think they do, because again, like if you're talking about some sort of a deity, some sort of like a universal force, right? I'm not talking about the force in the Star Wars, right? May the force be with you, right? Um, that force is it's so alien to, I think, it's so alien to our own explanation, through our words, through our logic, through our intelligence, through our philosophy, is that I think all these fucking millennia, what the human beings have been trying to like materialize is some sort of a deity, and that deity is inexplicable through our language. So then what is it? I mean, I'm not saying that there's some sort of a being out there, who's basically saying, oh, yeah, I'm the one, and and you all are my creation or whatever, right? But even if that's the case, right? Let's just assume for a second, even if that's the case, then how do you explain that being? What kind of shape that being has? What does that being look like? Can we see that being? Can we like feel that being? Like what? See, see, this is our limitation. This is where our language, our philosophy, our mind, even our mind fails to explain something like that. All right. So I'm not saying that we have some sort of a deity or some sort of a whole encompassing, like, the force that's out there, and only few of us will be able to, like, figure out. Well, maybe, but even if you take a very potent psychedelic, right? Not potent, right? But like, like a heroic dose of a psychedelic, it's still not explainable. It's still not, or it cannot be explained. So what is it? I think that's where the humans, through all these millennia and years and hundreds of years, thousands of years, and brought into their own lives what we now call religion, right? I mean, besides the fact that we have to believe in something because we don't know this whole idea about, like, this veil we have, between, like, life and death, right? So that's the other thing, why humans actually have come up with this whole idea of, like, you know besides the fact that we are somehow living here and we have no fucking idea, besides and accept the fact that what science is telling us is true, that we are on this rock, which actually revolves around this other rock, right? Which basically just spews lava and molten whatever, and then the radiation and all that, right? And so besides all that, there's no other explanation for us to actually say or try to put it in our own words. This whole idea of, yeah, here we are, in this part of Milky Way, but then where are we going? Where are we going? I guess that's probably, I'm jumping the gun on that one, where we are going. I think we are going where we are supposed to go, which is basically, in a natural way, except that the technology is going to fucking cripple us, which is, I think, already doing it. Because, like, can you actually live without your smartphone for, like, fucking day? Well, you have to be really brave for that, because I don't think so. See, this is how the technology has basically, like, kind of like taken over us, right? But uh, that's a whole different discussion. I think I have discussed that in my previous podcast. But the whole idea of some sort of a force being out there, right? That whole concept is just something that makes me very conflicted, more conflicted, because I can't just believe in something unless I experience it, right? I think that's true for every one of us. I mean, why would I believe in something until I experience it, right? Now, what does that even mean, experience? Because I think for us to experience something that's very alien to us, to our mind, our senses, because we are just uh, what we see, what we feel, and what we hear, right? That's what our body, our mind is basically programmed to do in terms of also our hardware in our brain, right? That's how we take the senses. The light comes through the lens of our eye, right? And then that's actually converted into some sort of an electrical signal. Then that goes back into the back of whatever our brain, and then the brain says, "Oh yeah, this is what you're seeing," right? So I'm not going where some people are saying, oh, you know what, you can actually manipulate that, and then you can then you can wear the goggles, right? And the goggles actually do that. No, I think the whole like VR goggles, that's a whole different story. That's different. All right, that's just simulation. Simulation is different. But like if you want to simulate the human brain, right? Like for example, if you want to trick the human brain, saying that, oh, you know what you are seeing. For example, I'm seeing myself in this camera, right? Photo booth, Apple's photo booth, and so what am I seeing here is myself, right? So that picture actually gets translated in my brain into an electrical signal. Now, if somebody actually tricks me and says, "Wait a minute, you are just seeing uh, in your brain," because that's the signal you're receiving, but the signal actually is not coming through my eye, but it's actually coming through some other means, right? But the same signal, then my brain is going to think that, oh yeah, that's the same thing. You're actually looking at the goddamn faucet, right? At the kitchen sink, right? So this is how our machinery is, and this is an alien machinery. It means our body is an alien artifact. Artifact is a biological machine, and which has evolved out of, I don't want to say nothing. Obviously, it has evolved of something, right? It has evolved out of something, and that something is, the basic building blocks of life, amino acids and blah, 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 which actually were a result of, you know, the solar radiation and then the water and oxygen and this and that, right? Or maybe lack of oxygen, whatever. Carbon dioxide, for the hell, right? So all these are things that are explainable in this realm we are living in, but then science and physics cannot explain, what's okay. So what's out there, or what's actually holding this whole universe? I mean, I'm not talking about dark matter. Yeah, I understand dark matter is holding all these planets and like stars, and otherwise they would be going crazy, right? No gravity. But I'm talking about, okay, so is there something is actually has actually like burst these bubbles into existence, right? and then that bubble basically created matter, right? And that's how all of us were created, right? Through matter and through evolution and all that, right? But okay, the point I'm trying to get to, I think, is that this whole concept of like the deity and then the some sort of a universal, you know, a being actually, that's actually so alien to our own psyche. And the only way we actually try to explain that first in our own way of satisfying or somehow giving some sort of an assurance to ourselves is that, oh, this is how we think of that force that actually keeps everything together, right? In our own human language. And that's how we brought religion. And also religion became some sort of a path for assuring people that, oh wait, well, I mean, we don't know what the hell happens after somebody dies, but then that's something that's actually inevitable, right? We all die. So then my take on this is that forget what happens after we die, because we don't know. Okay, that's the biggest veil, right? But well, I mean, I kind of alluded to that in one of my previous podcasts, and maybe many of my podcasts in the past. But how can we explain this? How can we explain this whole realm of existence, right? The realm of existence, I think, is not or cannot be explained by human language. And same thing with the whole concept of some sort of a being, you know. And I think that being is not something or someone or who's sitting somewhere in some other part of the fucking galaxy, right? Or maybe it is. I don't know. But if we are just like a creation of some other, like, more intelligent beings who are, let's say, 100 or let's say 300 million light years away from us, and they are more advanced than us, and there's a possibility, of course, right? By the way, the universe, and then the what do you call the number of stars and the star system, galaxies, and this and that, right? There's a possibility. That we can explain. I think at some point in time, when we, let's say, 100 years from now, we could understand how we could travel, to other fucking parts of the universe without like having these fucking, starships, right? But then what? Okay, so then maybe we can meet these fucking beings from other fucking, planets and star systems, and then what? And then we're gonna talk to each other. We're gonna sit down on a fucking conference table. We're gonna sit at a fucking bar, have a fucking beer, and say, "Hey, man, so well, this is what we are. We are, in this fucking um, star system with only one planet which has life. How about you guys? And is there anything you guys are doing? Anything that's better than we don't know, or something you can explain to us? Maybe we can learn something from you, right?" So that's the discussion. That's the fucking discussion, and I think that's a very like, what do you call? It's kind of like futuristic. I'm not talking about that fucking movie Jack Nicholson, right? What is that movie where the fucking aliens come and everybody's like going to fucking, like, where's that place where the Burning Man happens in the desert of Nevada, which is actually not the fucking desert. It's the mountains, right? It's a dry lake. everybody's going there to meditate, and they're like, oh, the aliens are coming, and they're gonna like give us their love and this and that, right? And then the fucking aliens, without any spoilers, they come in their ships, and they're like that, anybody they don't like, they fucking shoot them. That's it, right? I mean, there's a possibility, but that is not a possibility because uh, in real life, obviously, because that's not a possibility that somebody's just going to show up here, you know, in their fucking spaceships, and they're going to say, oh, you know what, well, I don't like this person, I don't like fucking Joe Biden or fucking Trump or whatever the fuck it is, right? But that's again, all that probably is going to be explained at some point in time in our part of the galaxy Milky Way, right? In our solar system, but this, again, I'm just trying to like give, I think, through this podcast, I'm trying to give some sort of a calmness to myself that well, yeah, there are things which are not explicable. There are things which are cannot be explained by science and physics. So it is what it is. Is that how am I going to like say it is what it is, man? I mean, what can you do? I mean, are you going to like fucking crack this fucking nut and then and look at the fucking inside the kernel, whatever the fuck it is, right? And you look at it and you're like, oh shit. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. That's the gazillion-dollar question. That's the gazillion-dollar question. I think everybody, from everyone, you name it, prophets, from prophets to like Buddhas, to everyone has been trying to figure out, and what they I think what every one of those people, I think, what they've been trying to tell us is just basic things. Hey man, just don't be rude to other people. Treat other people as who you want to be treated as. Don't be a fucking douche. All right. And then use some fucking logic. All right, use some fucking logic. But we don't know what happens. Like we don't know what, we can't explain the whole fucking universe. Why don't you just fucking take it easy, and then just like do whatever you need to do in your life. Whether you want a relationship, you want to whatever. Am I going to like coming back down to fucking earth and I'm gonna like talk about this bullshit? No. Yeah. I mean, no and yeah. Well, yes and no, in a sense that, hey, listen, even if fucking aliens like take me, right, beam me up into their fucking space shuttle, whatever the fuck it is, right? What are you gonna do? What are they gonna do? Like do a fucking experiment on me, and then what? And then what? And then at the end of the fucking day, they're gonna put me back to fucking earth and back to my fucking grind of life. Make sense? That's it. So that's how it. That's. I think that's what life is. Life is just what you make out of. I think that's what it is. I mean, if you're going to ask these like big questions, about like universe and like the force and whatever the fuck it is, right? To somehow give yourself some sort of satisfaction. Well, if it satisfies you, like for example, when I talk about these things, uh, it somehow gives me this opportunity to have a dialogue with myself, like, because again, I'm not a person who's going to just like, yeah, you know what it is. Like I can imagine that there's something out there that's actually all encompassing, loving and nothing but loving and helping. And but how about all those fucking criminals and all those fucking like murderers and all those fucking, was that all encompassing? Or I mean, I understand mental illness and all that, and but that's also created by the same entity, right? If there's some entity, right, you can't fucking blame those people, especially nothing that actually contributed to their own, like shortcomings. That's how it was for them, and unfortunately, that's what they turned out to be, right? Fucking lunatics or psychopaths or whatever the fuck it is, right? Sociopaths. Yeah. So then that makes me think that, well, maybe there's nothing out there. Maybe this is what it is, what science is explaining to us. Pretty much, it can be proven. I mean, one way or the other, the theories and this and that, right? And maybe this is what it is, you know. And I'm okay with that fucking answer. I'm okay with that fucking answer. And because like bringing this like alien, like some sort of entity in this whole thing, and it's like, well, I understand. Every one of us is at our own. We have to take our own fucking responsibility for whatever the fuck we have done, bad or good, and blah blah blah, whatever. We have to basically own our lives. I understand that part. Yeah, maybe I can do that because I have the privilege to like talk to this fucking screen, to this fucking camera, to all of you, 15 of my listeners, right? And I have the privilege to do this because whatever, I basically, tripped many times, and then I had to basically just like, shake off the dirt, and I had to just like keep going, right? And so maybe it is what it is that in a sense that nobody is actually responsible, nobody has created anything, nobody has actually like gave nobody has actually given rise to anything, and then the whole thing basically just started the way it's supposed to have started, right? So I think that probably is the best explanation for me to my own self, is that if there's good, then there's evil, right? There's good and there's evil. So I'm not saying that the evil is because this is what it's supposed to be, and then we have to have the fucking Spider-Man, the fucking DC universe, Superman is going to fucking fight the evil and all that, right? But no. That's like fucking science fiction. But what I'm saying is that the good and the evil are all circumstantial. All right, it's because of the circumstances in how we have come to this world and we have lived our lives. Not come to this world, yeah, maybe that's true too. I mean, if you look at like, if you read like, Stan Stan Graf's books on psychedelics, and he talks about, for example, how a person's psyche and all that can be affected by as basic as how they came out of their mother's vagina, not vagina, but how they actually went through that canal and then they came out. So that's, yeah, because inside they were in a good shape, right? They were getting fed and all that, right? But then when they're coming out of this fucking world, yeah, isn't that like the fucking tunnel they talk about, especially when you're taking a psychedelic and you feel like, oh, you're going through a fucking tunnel, you come out to some other fucking realm, right? I think that's what happened. So this is called para something. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to give you guys wrong information, but there are people who actually whose lives can be affected by as basic or as far back as when they were coming out, how they were constricted, their mind, like their heads were constricted going through the uterus and all that, right? Through their mothers, whatever, right? All right, so it's 1 hour, everyone. I think I beat every topic to death. Did I beat every topic to death? I'm not sure, but maybe I did. But in any case, so it's already midnight, past 15 minutes past midnight, and so this is my podcast for this week, and I'll see you all next weekend or Monday.